YouTube, this is 101 Bronson back here again, and today I'm giving you another top 10 list of mine. And today is a special day because it's the 60th birthday of Jean Claude van Damme, my big Belgian hero. I grew up with Van Damme's movies. I love these movies, you know, great action movies in the late 80s, early 90s, and even I'd say of all the action guys that went straight to DVD in the 2000s, he has the best output of straight to DVD movies of these guys. Of Dolph. I mean, Dolph has some decent straight to DVD movies as well, but he's definitely miles above Steven Seagal. Anyway, today's the 60th birthday of this man, so I set up a special sort of shrine for Mr. Van Damme for this video. Got the Kickboxer right over there, it's just out of frame. Anyway, it's there, some great movies on DVD and Blu-ray right there, and I'm giving you all my top 10. A few of the movies behind me, of course, are going to be featured, but before we get to the official top 10, here are some honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 is the movie Legionnaire, which this is a mid-90s drama slash action movie. It's not a full-blown action movie. This is actually one of the first movies that Van Damme did that went straight to DVD. But it's a very good one actually, where he plays a boxer who escapes from the French mob, and he enters into the French Foreign Legion army, and he becomes a legionnaire, and he's in, I believe, Northern Africa. I believe he's in like Morocco or something, fighting with the legionnaires, and it's a very great and underrated movie, and I wish it would have made the list, but there's just so many Jean Claude Van Damme movies that are great. You know, this one missed out, but Legionnaire, check it out, it's a very good movie. Next honorable mention is another straight to DVD movie from the mid 2000s. I believe this one is from 2006 if I'm not mistaken. This is Wake of Death, which is a very great straight to DVD action movie. Very decent movie, this one, with Jean Claude Van Damme plays this guy who sort of has ties with like the organized crime. His wife is like this immigration service worker. She takes a Chinese girl home one day, and the Chinese gangsters go after her. They kill Jean Claude Van Damme's wife, and he's out for revenge. And it's a very good performance by Van Damme. He shows some great emotion in this movie, and I recommend this one. Check it out. Next up is yet another straight to DVD. Yeah, I think you can tell that a lot of theatrical movies are going to make the top 10 rather than straight to DVD movies, but they're still great. Anyway, next straight to DVD movie as an honorable mention is the movie Replicant from early 2000s. I believe this is in 2001, 2002, co-starring Michael Rooker, in which Jean Claude Van Damme actually plays two roles, which isn't that uncommon for him to do. I mean, just look at Double Impact. But Van Damme plays a bad guy in this movie. And the bad guy, the bad version of Van Damme, gets doubled as a replicant. He gets cloned, so to speak. And he plays the good clone, and he plays the bad original. But very underrated movie. I actually really like it. I recommend this one, check it out. And next up, I think I would be remiss if I did not mention this movie, JCVD from 2008, in which he plays himself. And it's, depending on what version of the movie you watch, it should be watching the original language, which is French, you know, Belgian French. And not Flemish, but it's you know, the French speaking part of Belgium. So that's the original language for the movie, and Van Damme gives a absolutely fantastic performance. I believe he has been praised by a lot of people, including Nicolas Cage. Actor Nicolas Cage actually once in an interview that he really liked Van Damme's performance in that movie. And you know, got that one right there. It missed out on making this list, but it's a very great movie. I think a lot of Van Damme fans would have checked this one out by now, but if you haven't, I recommend it. Now moving over to the official top 10. We're gonna go right in here. Number 10, we have The Quest from 1996. This is Jean Claude Van Damme's directorial debut, and he hasn't directed since. I mean, he has directed a movie called The Eagle Path or Frenchie or Full Love. It's still to be released. I mean, he's been talking about it for the last decade, but we'll see if that ever happens. But this is The Quest, 1996. It's another tournament movie for Van Damme. He came right off these big, martial arts action tournament type movies with Bloodsport and Kickboxer and stuff like that. And it's a historical piece. It takes place in like the 1920s. But most notably, this movie is the way for what I love in it is because my favorite James Bond is also in this movie, Roger Moore, the late great Sir Roger Moore. May he rest in peace. Um, Even though he did not like working with Van Damme that much, and he had not the best experience working on this movie, he's still a class act, and he delivers good performance in this one. And Roger Moore, I think, really is the heart and soul of this movie. Even though we still have Van Damme, fighting and kicking ass and stuff, I think that has a special place in my heart because Roger Moore is in this movie. And I love the banter with him and Jack McGee, who plays his like sidekick character. And it's a really, I think it's underrated actually. I mean, this one was really one of the big flops for Van Damme back in the day, and especially because he directed this one. But I think it's underrated a bit, and definitely should be definitely one that I recommend. Anyway, yeah, that was number 10, The Quest. And at number 9 we have the late 80s canon thriller, action thriller, Death Warrant, in which Jean Claude Van Damme is sent to prison. Yeah, this is Van Damme's prison movie. We had Stallone with a string of prison movies, Lock Up, and he's been in prison in Tango and Cash and Escape Plan. Eastwood had Escape from Alcatraz. This is Van Damme's prison movie. And I really love these prison movies, man. And Death Warrant is a great one, in which Van Damme is an undercover cop who was sent into prison to investigate murders that are going on in there, and then in a twist, one of his mortal enemies, somebody he thought he had killed or put away in prison, he's transferred into the prison where Van Damme is in. He's the Sandman, played by Patrick Kilpatrick, who's a great villain, and this leads into a fantastic climax with a great fight scene. And that's all I'm going to say for this one. Check it out, I recommend this one. And coming in at number 8 we have the really amazing and fantastic Jean Claude Van Damme fighting movie, Lionheart. King of the Jungle. I love this movie to hell. I wish it could have been higher. It should have been higher maybe, but with the way everything worked out with me ranking these movies, I just fitted in right here at number 8. It doesn't take anything away from it. This is a fantastic movie from 1990. Yeah, I think this is also one of the best Jean Claude Van Damme performances, acting wise. This is very early in his career, but I think he really delivered a good performance, in which he plays Leon Gaultier, who is a French Legionnaire. I'm losing a pattern here. Who escapes from the Foreign Legion to. It's Legionnaire in reverse. Yeah, I think this is, interesting. Anyway, he escapes from the Foreign Legion because his brother is killed. So he goes to help out his sister-in-law and his niece, his little girl, who's played by a very young Ashley Johnson, who I best remember from the video game The Last of Us, in which he plays Ellie. And of course, Last of Us Part 2. So it was interesting to see that, to see her in there working with Van Damme. And it's a good movie. And he starts like underground fighting to support his family, the only family he has left. And the movie is hard, and it's a great one. I'd say check this one out if you haven't. At number 7 we have another Van Damme classic, Timecop from 1994. This was Jean-Claude Van Damme's biggest hit. This made the biggest amount of money at the box office for him and made him a big star for a short period. And I love Timecop, man. I can watch Timecop whenever I want it. That's one of those movies I can just pull out and watch whenever. There's never enough time. I mean, the same matter can't occupy same space at the same time. These quotes, man, this movie is in my head forever. Look at that, I'm still kicking. I must be in Broadway. Yeah, that's my bad Jean-Claude Van Damme impression. Yeah, great movie in which he plays a police officer called Walker, if I'm not mistaken, who is into this special section um, for um, for time displacement stuff. You know, it's a movie that deals with time travel. It's a sci-fi action movie, and he's one of the guys that go, you know, when something goes wrong in the past or they notice something, they send him back to fix it. Um, and yeah, it's a great movie, man. I'd say check this one out if you haven't. But I think every Jean Claude Van Damme fan would have checked this one out by now. Anyway, Timecop and number 7. And at number 6, going from one big classic to another, Universal Soldier. Yes, the movie that paired up two great 80s action heroes in Jean Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, and they face off against each other in this movie. Again, it's a sci-fi action movie, but a pretty great one at that. I mean, you got some great action sequences in here, directed by Roland Emmerich, who also did Independence Day. Good director, very good director, and a great movie, Universal Soldier, in which you have Van Damme and Lundgren facing off, and it's a great fight at the end. Great fight sequence. Yeah, I like this movie. Yeah, Universal Soldier at number 6, check it out. And now we go into the top 5, and at number 5 we have one of my all-time favorite Van Damme movies, Nowhere to Run. This is a really underrated one, in which Van Damme plays escaped convict Sam Gillen, who was on the run from the law, and he hides out at this little sort of like ranch house with Rosanna Arquette, who's a widow, and she's living there with her 2 children, and yeah, he stays with them after some stuff happens, and he starts to care for this family, and again, this is a very heartfelt movie. It's leaning more towards like a love story or like a drama, but there's still action in there, so you know. And I think it's also again one of Van Damme's better performances that he did, you know, acting wise. There's not a lot of martial arts in this movie, but there are some fist fights, some fisticuffs, certainly some. There's at the end there's like a little gunfight, right? But you know, the heart of this, the center of the story is the relationship between him and Rosanna Arquette, and the relationship between him and the 2 kids, in particular the son Mookie, who is played by Macaulay Culkin's younger brother, Kieran Culkin. And very good child actor, you know. Of course, after his brother was like the big star of Home Alone, you know, it's obvious that they wanted to put the younger brother into these movies. And I think he does great. And so does the little girl, I forget her name, who plays Bree, the little girl. And yeah, it's a great movie. Check this one out if you haven't. It has my seal of approval. Speaking of movies that have my seal of approval, you know, from now on I think every one of these is definitely going to have my seal of approval. If they hadn't before, they certainly have now. And at number 4 we have the Jean Claude Van Damme action classic Double Impact from 1991. Great movie, this one, directed by Shaolin Lettich, in which we have 2 Jean Claude Van Dammes, you know, the twins, Alex and Chad. Jeffrey Lewis is also in this movie, who was in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies. Always like seeing him. One of the villains in this movie is Bolo Young from Bloodsport. And again, Jean Claude Van Damme and Bolo Young, they have a great fight sequence in this movie. Not quite to the level of Bloodsport, but it's still a good fight. Still a really great fight scene. And yeah, Van Damme plays 2 twins that are separated at birth, and anyway, Jeffrey Lewis took care of the good Van Damme, or like the, well, I guess there is a good and bad Van Damme in this movie, in a way. So Jeffrey Lewis has been taking care of the good Van Damme, and then he brings him to Hong Kong, where the bad Van Damme has been growing up, and you know, Jeffrey Lewis, you know, makes them reconnect, and there's this whole story about their parents that got killed, and it's a great action classic, this one. Check this one out again if you haven't. And at number 3 we have the John Woo 1994 action classic Hard Target. Yeah, this is absolutely one of my all-time favorite action movies from any decade. I don't care if from 70s, 80s, 90s. This one is right up there with some of the best. This is up there with, I put Hard Target up with like movies like Terminator 2 and Total Recall and stuff. I don't know. And Rambo, I would put this one right up there. When I ever do a top 10 like all-time favorite action movies, I think this one has a good chance of making the list. Jean Claude Van Damme plays Chance Boudreaux, Story takes place in New Orleans, so that gives a reason for Van Damme's accent. In which you have Lance Henriksen as the villain, who is hunting people for sport, and he's letting people hunt people for sport. He's like, he puts everything together. You know, you pay Lance Henriksen a few $1,000,000, and he sets up a hunt for you to hunt a real life person. And you got also Yancy Butler in this movie, who plays Natasha, and her father has gone missing. She presumes, but he's actually been killed in the opening sequence. He's one of the people that they hunted. So Van Damme helps her to find her father, and then we get one great action sequence after the other. I love this movie. This is really a fantastic movie. I wish it could have been higher, but there's just a few more Van Damme movies that I did like just a bit more, but this is where it really got tricky for me in placing it. But, you know, hard target at number 3, moving on. And at number 2, we have Van Damme's big break movie, Bloodsport from 1988. Yes, it was a draw between this one and my number 1 pick. For my money, they're both actually kind of in a way number 1, but if I really had to narrow it down, Bloodsport is my number 2, and it's a great one. This is a tournament martial arts movie in which Van Damme plays Frank Dukes, who is competing in Hong Kong in the Kumite. It's based on a real story, apparently, because a lot of people have been saying that the real story of Frank Dukes is more than a little exaggerated, and false in a lot of places, but who knows? I don't know the guy, I don't know. The movie's entertaining nonetheless. Yeah, great movie, this one. You got Bolo Young as the villain. I like his sidekick, Ray Jackson. I forget the actor's name, I believe it was Donald Gibb, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, a lot of great fighting sequences in this one, great music, great 80s soundtrack. You know, you got the song Fight to Survive by Stan Bush, and yeah, it's a great movie. Cannot recommend it enough. Yes, Bloodsport at number 2. And at number 1 we have my all-time favorite Jean Claude Van Damme movie. Like I said before, it's a tie between this one and Bloodsport, but yeah, considering everything, you know, if one were to hold a gun to my head and say pick just one of the two, I would go for Kickboxer in the end. You know, Kickboxer from 1989, in my opinion, the best Jean Claude Van Damme movie, in which he plays Kurt Sloan, who is the brother of the kickboxer champion of the world, Eric, the Eliminator Sloan. His brother goes to Thailand to fight the champion there, Tang Po, which is a great villain. You really hate this guy, you really want him to get it in the end, and Van Damme definitely delivers on that front. Spoiler alert, but you know how these movies go, I think. But no, he cripples his brother to be an invalid, so his brother's in a wheelchair, and he vows revenge on Tang Po. And you got some great training sequences in here, great martial arts training sequences in there. You got Van Damme doing his iconic splits. And what I always love about these early Van Damme movies is when he fights, they use a lot of slow-mo. And when Van Damme does a big kick or anything, he always makes this great sound, which I find both hilarious and fucking awesome. So there you have it. That concludes my top 10 list. So Kickboxer is at number 1. It's my all-time favorite Van Damme movie, and I got that one right there, just out of frame, like I said. I do hope you all enjoyed this video, and I still want to wish a big happy birthday to Jean Claude Van Damme. You know, he say what you want about him, but you know, over the years, of course, his career had its ups and downs. But I think in the end, if there ever was like a big competition between Seagal and Van Damme in terms of the movies, I think Van Damme's a clear winner. And yeah, he is still standing and he's still going strong at 60 years old. And I look forward to his upcoming projects. I recently saw one of his most recent movies, The Bouncer from 2018, and I think he's still really doing some solid performances and some solid action sequences and some good movies. So I look forward to seeing what's next in the future for Van Damme. Hopefully that movie Full Love or Frenchie or Eagle Path finally gets released somewhere in the near future, but who knows. Anyway, that was my top 10 Jean Claude Van Damme movies. Do hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider it. I would definitely appreciate it. And having said that, stay strong and safe and healthy, everyone. And I'll see you in the next one. So long for now. Okay, that's enough of that shit.